The St. Matthew Passion, BWV 244, is a passion, a sacred oratorio written by Johann Sebastian Bach in 1727 for solo voices, double choir and double orchestra, with libretto by Picander. It sets chapters 26 and 27 of the Gospel of Matthew to music, with interspersed chorales and arias. It is widely regarded as one of the masterpieces of classical sacred music. The original Latin title Passio Domini nostri J.C. Secundum Evangelistum Mattheum translates to The Passion of Our Lord J.C. according to the evangelist Matthew. History. The St. Matthew Passion is the second of two passion settings by Bach that have survived in their entirety, the first being the St. John Passion, first performed in 1724. Versions and contemporary performances. Little is known with certainty about the creation process of the St. Matthew Passion. The available information derives from extant early manuscripts, contemporary publications of the libretto, and circumstantial data, for instance in documents archived by the Town Council of Leipzig. The St. Matthew Passion was probably first performed on the 11th of April 1727 in the St. Thomas Church, and again on the 15th of April 1729, the 30th of March 1736, and the 23rd of March 1742. Bach then revised it again between 1743 and 1746. First version. In Leipzig it was not allowed to paraphrase the words of the Gospel in a Passion presentation on Good Friday. A setting of the then popular Broca's Passion libretto, largely consisting of such paraphrasing, could not be done without replacing the paraphrases by actual Gospel text. That was the option chosen by Bach for his 1724 St. John Passion. In 1725 Christian Friedrich Henrici, a Leipzig poet having chosen Picander's pen name, had published Erbauliche Gedanken auf den Grund und Donnerstag und Karfreitag, containing free verse suitable for a Passion presentation in addition to the Gospel text. Bach seems to have stimulated the poet to write more of such verse in order to come to a full-fledged libretto for a Passion presentation combined with the Passion text chapters 26 and 27 in the Gospel of St. Matthew. Since 1975 it is usually assumed that Bach's St. Matthew Passion was first performed on Good Friday, the 11th of April 1727, although its first performance may have been as late as Good Friday 1729 as older sources assert. The performance took place in the St. Thomas Church in Leipzig. Bach was Thomas cantor since 1723. In this version the Passion was written for two choruses and orchestras. Choir I consists of a soprano in ripieno voice, a soprano solo, an alto solo, a tenor solo, SAT chorus, two traversos, two oboes d'amore, two oboes da caccia, lute, strings, and continuo. Choir 2 consists of SAT voices, violin I, violin 2, viola da gamba, cello, two traversos, two oboes and possibly continuo. Funeral cantata for Köthen Kinder Sally Welt, BWV 244, a cantata of which only the text is extant, was performed the 24th of March 1729 in Köthen at a memorial service held some months after the death of Leopold, Prince of Anhalt-Köthen. The music of the cantata consisted largely of music adapted from the St. Matthew Passion. Passion performances in the St. Thomas Church at the time only men sung in church. High-pitch vocal parts were usually performed by treble choristers. In 1730 Bach informed the Leipzig Town Council as to what he saw as the number of singers that should be available for the churches under his responsibility, including those for the St. Thomas Church, a choir of 12 singers, plus 8 singers that would serve both street, Thomas and the Peterskirche. The request was only partially granted by the town council, so possibly at least some of the Passion presentations in St. Thomas were with less than 20 singers, even for the large-scale works like the St. Matthew Passion that were written for double choir. In Bach's time, St. Thomas Church had 2 organ lofts. The large organ loft that was used throughout the year for musicians performing in Sunday services, Vespers, etc., and the small organ loft, situated at the opposite side of the former, that was used additionally in the grand services for Christmas and Easter. The St. Matthew Passion was composed as to perform a single work from both organ lofts at the same time. Chorus and orchestra would occupy the large organ loft, and chorus and orchestra too performed from the small organ loft. The size of the organ lofts limited the number of performers for each choir. Large choruses, in addition to the instrumentists indicated for choir I&II, would have been impossible. So also here there is an indication that each part would have a limited number of performers, where, for the choruses, the numbers indicated by Bach in his 1730 request would appear to be a maximum of what could be fitted in the organ lofts. Later revisions and performances. Bach revised the Passion by 1736, for a performance on Good Friday, the 30th of March 1736. This is the version that is generally known as the St. Matthew Passion, BWV 244. In this version both choirs have SATB soloists and chorus, and a string section and continuo consisting of at least violins I&II, viola, gamba and organ. The woodwinds are 2 traversos, oboes and oboes d'amore for each choir, and in addition for choir I2 oboes da caccia. Some parts were adjusted for a new performance on Good Friday, the 23rd of March 1742. Bach finalized his Ohrdruf score 1743 to 1746, however not tied to any new performance. Numbering of the movements. Bach did not number the sections of the St. Matthew Passion, all of them vocal movements, but 20th century scholars have done so. The 2 main schemes in use today are the scheme from the Neue Bach-Ausgabe, which uses a 1 through 68 numbering system, and the older Bach work of ISNI scheme, which divides the work into 78 numbers. Both use lettered subsections in some cases. This article is written using the NBN numbering system. Text. Bach worked together with his librettist, Christian Friedrich Henrici, known as Picander. The text of the libretto of the St. Matthew Passion was published by Picander in 1729. Bible text. Additionally, Song of Songs 6:1 is used in the opening aria of Part 2. Free verse. Picander wrote text for recitatives and arias, and for the large-scale choral movements that open and close the Passion. Other libretto sections came from publications by Salomo Frank and Berthold Heinrich Brockers. Chorales. The chorale melodies and the texts would have been known to those attending the services in the St. Thomas Church. The oldest chorale Bach used in the St. Matthew Passion dates from 1525. 3 chorales are written by Paul Gerhardt. Bach included 5 stanzas from his O Haupt voll Blut und Wunden. Bach used the hymns in different ways, most a 4-part setting. 2 is the cantus firmus of the 2 chorale fantasias, framing part 1 as a commenting element in a tenor recitative. In the early version BWV 244b, the chorale No. 17 appears to be missing, and movement No. 29, concluding part 1, is a 4-part setting of the chorale Jesum lassig nicht von mir instead of the chorale Fantasia on O Mensch, Beweind den Sund groß. Composition. Many composers wrote musical settings of the Passion in the late 17th century. Like other Baroque oratorio passions, Bach's setting presents the biblical text of Matthew chapters 26 to 27 in a relatively simple way. primarily using recitative, while aria and arioso movements set newly written poetic texts which comment on the various events in the biblical narrative and present the characters' states of mind in a lyrical, monologue-like manner. The St. Matthew Passion is set for 2 choirs and 2 orchestras. Both include 2 transverse flutes, 2 oboes, in certain movements instead oboe d'amore or oboe da caccia, 2 violins, viola da gamba, and basso continuo. For practical reasons, the continuo organ is often shared and played with both orchestras. In many arias, a solo instrument, a more creative specific mood, such as the central soprano aria No. 49, Aus Liebe will main Heilandsterben, where the absence of strings and basso continuo mark a desperate loss of security. Vocal parts. 2 distinctive aspects of Bach's setting spring from his other church endeavors. One is the double choir format, which stems from his own double choir motets and those of many other composers with which he routinely started Sunday services. The other is the extensive use of chorales, which appear in standard 4-part settings, as interpolations in arias, and as a cantus firmus in large polyphonic movements. This is notable in O Mensch, Bewahre den Sundgruß, the conclusion of the first half, a movement which Bach also used as an opening chorus from the second version of his St. John Passion. The opening chorus, Kommt, Ich Tochter, helft mir klagen, is also notable for the use of chorale cantus firmus, in which the soprano in ripieno crowns a colossal build-up of polyphonic and harmonic tension, singing a verso of O Lamm Gottes unschuldig. This was sung only in 1742 and 1743 to 1746 and had been played on the organ before. Gospel parts. The narration of the gospel texts is sung by the tenor evangelist in secco recitative, accompanied only by continuo. Soloists sing the words of various characters, also in recitative. In addition to Jesus, there are named parts for Judas, Peter, 2 high priests, Pontius Pilate, Pilate's wife, 2 witnesses and 2 ancillae. These are not always sung by all different soloists. The character soloists are also often assigned arias and sing with the choirs, a practice not always followed by modern performances. 2 duets are sung by a pair of soloists representing 2 simultaneous speakers. A number of passages for several speakers, called turba parts, are sung by one of the 2 choirs or both. The words of Jesus, also termed Vox Christi, usually receive special treatment. Bach created particularly distinctive accompagnator recitatives in this work. They are accompanied not by continuo alone, but also by the entire string section of the first orchestra, using long, sustained notes and highlighting certain words, thus creating an effect often referred to as Jesus's halo. Only his final words, in Aramaic, Eli, Eli lama sabachthani, are sung without this halo. In the revision of 1743 to 1746, it is also these words that receive a sustained continuo part. In all prior versions, the continuo part was sustained in all recitatives. Interpolated texts. The arias, set to texts by Picander, are interspersed between sections of the gospel text. They are sung by soloists with a variety of instrumental accompaniments, typical of the oratorio style. The interpolated texts theologically and personally interpret the gospel texts. Many of them include the listener into the action, such as the chorale No. 10, Ich bin's, ich sollt bussen, after 11 disciples asked, Herr, bin ich's? Meaning, am I the one going to betray? The alto aria No. 6, Bas und Reu, portrays a desire to anoint Jesus with her tears out of remorse. The bass aria No. 65, Masche dich, mein Herze, rain, offers to bury Jesus himself. Jesus is often referred to as "my Jesus." The chorus alternates between participating in the narrative and commenting on it. As is typical of settings of the Passion, there is no mention of the resurrection in any of these texts. Following the concept of Anselm of Canterbury, a crucifixion is the end point and the source of redemption. The emphasis is on the suffering of Jesus. The chorus sings, in the final chorale No. 62, "Dare me from my fears, through your own fear and pain." The bass, referring to the sweet cross, expresses in No. 56, "Yes, of course, this flesh and blood in us want to be forced to the cross. The better it is for our soul, the more bitter it feels." The first O Lamb God's chorale compares Jesus' crucifixion to the ritual sacrifice of an Old Testament lamb as an offering for sin. This theme is reinforced by the concluding chorale of the first part, O Mensch, bewahre dein Sundgroß. Compositional style. Bach's recitatives often set the mood for the particular passages by highlighting emotionally charged words such as crucify, kill, or mourn, with chromatic melodies. Diminished seventh chords and sudden modulations accompany Jesus's apocalyptic prophecies. In the turbo parts, the two chorusts sometimes alternate in chorus pesati style and sometimes sing together. Other times only one chorus sings or they alternate, for example when some bystanders say he's calling for Elijah, and others say wait to see if Elijah comes to help him. In the arias, obbligato instruments are equal partners with the voices, as was customary in late Baroque arias. Bach often uses madrigalisms, as in Bass und Reu, where the flutes start playing a raindrop-like staccato as the alto sings of drops of his tears falling. In L'Utenua, the line about the serpent is set with a twisting melody structure. As in other Passion oratorios, the backbone of the structure is the narration of the Gospel, in this case chapters 26 and 27 of the Gospel of Matthew in the German translation of the Luther Bible. Gospel text. The evangelist, a tenor voice, sings the gospel text in a declamatory style called secco recitative, that is with only a continuo accompaniment. Direct speech sections of the gospel text are brought by other singers in the same secco format, except for Vox Christi. The words spoken by Christ are sung by a bass as a accompagnato recitative, that is, accompagnated by strings, and in a more arioso style than the secco recitatives. Turbo choruses. Words spoken by a group of people are sung by the choir, usually accompanied by the complete orchestra. Apart from the evangelist and the Vox Christi, the dramatis personae of these gospel sections of the St. Matthew Passion consists of Judas, Peter, two witnesses, two high priests, two maids, Pilate and his wife. A small group is represented by chorus I, chorus II separately. High priests and larger groups of people are sung by chorus I and II together. Interpolated text. In between the sections are scenes of the gospel text. Other texts are sung as a meditation or underlining the action, in a variety of formats. Soloists sing arias, in most cases preceded by an accompagnator recitative, and occasionally in a dialogue with the choir. These sections are based nearly exclusively on texts by Picander. The arias are in da capo format. Erbarme dich for alto, and Mache dich, mein Herze, rain, for bass, are examples of such arias in Part 2 of the oratorio. In these movements the singers are accompanied by one or a few solo instruments and continuo, occasionally completed by other instrument groups of the orchestra. Choral movements come in two additional formats: cornerstone choral movements or chorale fantasias. These are the extended movements, typically used to open or close both parts of the oratorio. In the St. Matthew Passion there are three such extended choral movements: the opening chorus, the conclusion of part 1 and the final chorus. Chorale harmonization movements, using traditional chorale texts and the melodies. The text is sung in homophony by a four-part chorus with color party accompaniment by the orchestra. O Hauptvollblut und Wunden, on a text by Paul Gerhardt, is the one that returns most often throughout the Passion, in different harmonizations. Overview: in the scheme below, indentation indicates the type of movement. Cornerstone choral movements, gospel parts. Evangelist sings in each of these gospel sections. Chorale harmonizations, recitatives, and arias. Part 1:1. KOMMT. Ich Tochter helft mir klagen, O Lamm Gottes unschuldig 2. Mount 26 to 1-2, with Vox Christi 3. Herzliebster Jesu, was hast du verbrochen 4. Mount 26 to 3-13, with Vox Christi, and Turberon ja nicht auf das Fest and on wasu dienet dieser Unrat. 5-6. Recitative du liebe Heiland du in aria bas und reu 7. Mount 26 to 14-16, with Judas 8. Aria Blutenua du liebes Herz. 9. Mount 26 to 17-22, with Vox Christi, and Turbe on Wo willst du, das Wirdiaber das Osterlamm zu essen, and on Herr Benix. 10. O Welt, hier dein Leben, by Paul Gerhardt, stanza 5. Ich bin's, ich sollt bussen 11. Mount 26 to 23-29, with Vox Christi and Judas 12-13. Recitative we will mein Herz in Tranen schwimmen aria ich will dir mein Herz schenken 14. Mount 26 to 30-32, with Vox Christi 15. O Hauptvollblut und Wunden, by Paul Gerhardt, stanza 5. Erken mich, mein Hüter 16. Mount 26 to 33-35, with Vox Christi and Peter chapter 17. O Hauptvollblut und Wunden, by Paul Gerhardt, stanza 6. Ich will hier beid stehen 18. Mount 26 to 36-38, with Vox Christi 19-20. Recitative Schmerz. Hier sittet das gequolte Herz, Herzliebster Jesu, by Johann Hermann, stanza 3. Was ist die alle solche Plagen, and aria ich will bei meinem Jesu wachen, so schlafen UNSRE Sunday 9-21. Mount 26 to 39-22-23. Recitative der Heiland fällt vor seinem Vater nieder, and aria gern will ich mich bequemen, Kreuz und Becher anzunehmen 24. Mount 26 to 40-42, with Vox Christi 25. Was mein Gott will, das Chorales by Albert Duke in Prussia, stanza 1. Was mein Gott will, das Chorales 26. Mount 26 to 43-50, with Vox Christi and Judas 27. Aria so ist mein Jesus nun gefangen and last IHN. Alltet bindet nicht and sind Blitze, sind Donner in Woken verschwunden. 28. Mount 26 to 51-56, with Vox Christi 29. O Mensch, bewein den Sund groß Part 2, 30. Aria act nun ist mein Jesus hin, wo ist denn den Freund hingegen 31. Mount 26 to 57-68-32. In Dick hab ich gehoffe, Herr, by Adam Reusner, stanza 5. Mir hat die Welt truglich gericht 33. Mount 26 to 60-63a, with witnesses and high priest 34-35. Recitative Mein Jesus schweigt zu Volsken Lügen stillen Aria Gegel, when mich Volkschiesungen stechen 36. Mount 26 to 63 B 68 with Vox Christi, High Priests, and Turba on ISD des Todesschuldig, and on Visage UNS Christ WERISDS der Dichtschlag. 37. O Welt, hier den Leben by Paul Gerhardt, stanza 3, WER hat Dixie geschlagen 38. Mount 26 to 69-75 with Maida and 2. Peter and Turba on Wahrlich du bist Tauscheiner von denen, den deiner Sprach verrat dich. 39. Aria erbarme dich, mein Gott meiner Zaren willen. 40. Verdammte mein Gemüt by Johann von Rist, stanza 6, bin ich gleich von dir gewichen 41. Mount 27 to 1-6 with Judas, High Priest and 2 and Turba on was Gehetjuns das an. Darshie du zu. 42. Aria gebet mir meinen Jesum wieder. 43. Mount 27 to 7-14 with Vox Christi and Pilate 44. Befehl du deine Weg by Paul Gerhardt, stanza 1. Befehl du deine Weg 45. Mount 27 to 15-22, with Pilate's wife, and Turba on Barabam, and on LCCN Kreuzigen. 46. Herzliebster Jesu by Johann Hermann, stanza 4. We wunderbarlich ist doch diese Strafe. 47. Mount 27 to 23 8 with Pilate 48-49. Recitative hat uns allen WorldCat in an aria aus Liebe will mein Heiland sterben 50. Mount 27 to 26 with Pilate, and Turba on LCCN Kreuzigen, and on Sein Blut komm über uns und unsere Kinder 51-52. Recitative erbarmes Gott, ihr steht der Heiland angebunden, and aria konnen tranen meine Wangen 53. Mount 27 to 27-30 with Turba on Gegrasset siehst du, Judenkönig. 54. O Haupt voll Blut und Wunden by Paul Gerhardt, stanza 1 and 2. O Haupt voll Blut und Wunden 55. Mount 27 to 31-32 56-57. Recitative ja, freilich will in uns das Fleisch und Blut zum Kreuz gezwungen sein in aria komm, das ist Kreuz, so will ich sagen 58. Mount 27 to 33-44, with Turba on der du den Tempel Gottes ebrichst, and on anden hat geholfen und kann ihm selber nicht helfen. 59-60. Recitative at Golgatha, unselges Golgatha, and aria said, Jesus hat die Hand uns zufassen ausgespannt, kommt. Wohin. 61. Mount 27 to 45-50, with Vox Christi, and Turba on der Rufe dem Elias, and on Halt, Lassen, ob Elias komm und ihm helf. 62. O Haupt voll Blut und Wunden by Paul Gerhardt, stanza 9, when ich einmal soll scheiden 63. Mount 27 to 51-59, with Turba on Wahrlich, dieser ist Gott sein Gusen. 64-65. Recitativem Abend, dar es cool war an aria mache dich, mein Herze, Reign 66. Mount 27 to 59-66, with Pilate, and Turba on Herr, wir haben gedacht, dass diese Verführer sprach 67. Recitative nun ist der Herr gebracht, mein Jesu Gottenacht. 68. Wir setzen uns mit Tränen nieder,